Hello, my name is J. Seth Montgomery, and I'm a National Training Specialist with Best Friends Animal Society. My role is to assist our network partners by consulting them to better recruit, onboard, train, engage, leverage, and ultimately retain their volunteers in order to maximize impact toward achieving no-kill nationwide by 2025. This short presentation is about the importance of showcasing the impact of volunteers beyond just the number of volunteers your organization has and the hours they contribute. So what is impact? The word impact has many meanings. For those of us in animal welfare, as well as other nonprofit and public sectors, we can use impact and define it as a marked effect or influence on our goals, programs, or our missions. Simply enough, think of it as storytelling. Take a moment and think about what information you may be sharing about your volunteers currently. Like many others, you're probably sharing quantitative information or metrics, such as hours contributed over the course of the year, our number of active volunteers, and of course our save rates. Are you connecting to how and why this is being done? When we just report on numbers, this is not telling people who read those social media posts, our annual reports, or other data-driven reports we produce how this is being accomplished with volunteer engagement and why the people reading it want to be a part of our movement. Do you connect it to your mission? Everything we do should be tied to exactly that, especially when outlining and illustrating the impact of your volunteers' contributions beyond those hours. Impact is best used when we take that quantitative information or those metrics that we're so used to in animal welfare. We explain the why by telling that story and connect it to the heart and the mind. When thinking beyond hours, we want to make sure we take a look at what information we're using to tell your story currently and what you may be sharing. We need to make sure that it's not just numbers and showcase what matters, what goals are driving your work, and what is being delivered in your mission when outlining your narrative. Be sure to show not just animals, but how people in your community are being helped in your work. What are you trying to resolve and what improvements have been made from the work that you've been doing? Remember, your volunteers are contributing more than just those hours. Show who they are, the valuable work they're doing, and why it's important. Culture is vital to organizational sustainability and especially important when it comes to your volunteers. Are you showcasing what it may look or feel like to be a part of your organization? Think about things you might already be tracking, such as trends over time or outcomes that you didn't even realize could be used in telling your volunteer impact and your story. Look at all internal resources such as volunteer interviews, adopter stories who have worked with your volunteers, and other programs you utilize volunteers to complete tasks and achieve your goals. Here are just a few things you can use to showcase volunteer impact outside of their hours. The number of kitten fosters, progress and adoption of medical fosters, pounds or number of loads of laundry done, the amount of money raised at a volunteer-supported fundraiser, the number of cat toys made, a number of Kongs stuffed, number of volunteer-run playgroups, this can be on a monthly or annual basis, staff hours saved from volunteers helping with clerical duties or data entry, the number of adoption follow-up calls, miles driven by transport volunteers, surgical packs wrapped by your clinic volunteers, or the percent of intake photos replaced by high-quality volunteer photographers. One of my favorite things to do is to get together and brainstorm, so do exactly that. Get together with other people in your organization, get creative, and think outside that box you've been limiting yourself to. Remember, volunteer engagement is an organizational culture. This is not just one person's role. Bring other players to the table to work together and talk about impact and create stories. If you need information and other departments or other resources to collect, create, and share this information, think of all these things when working on volunteer impact statements. We each have a role to play. There can be a learning curve when it comes to articulating volunteer impact. Changing the way your entire organization talks about this doesn't happen overnight. Just don't spend too much time on trying to make a perfect statement or story. Be authentic and don't overthink it. Now that you have your story, the most important part is to tell it. Be sure to share volunteer impact regularly, both internally and externally. When we look internally, regularly share this with volunteers and staff via meetings or retreats, emails, newsletters, or internal social media. With our board and senior leaders, create a standing agenda item, share it via newsletters, or of course emails. Externally, we should look into our community and other public partnerships we have. Host town halls, keep your website updated including infographics, awesome videos, utilize your news media, and of course all social media channels. When we do this, this helps make it a normal behavior throughout your organization, which connects to your culture. Utilize your stories of impact to help with engagement. When we look at recruitment, think of all the channels that you leverage. Correctly tie impact to them in order to help with these efforts. Just remember, not everyone is inspired by the same information. Impactful recognition is about helping volunteers understand their contribution and to help tell their stories. Impactful recognition is meaningful and connects to the mind and the heart and is also at times personalized. It shows the value of volunteer work to your organization, community, animals, staff, and even you. It's always tied to the mission and culture of your organization, and it's an overall organizational investment into them. Discussing impact keeps volunteers committed to the cause and helps with retention. Volunteers are more likely to stay if they understand how they're making a difference, even if this is not directly tied to animal care. Volunteers should always know without a doubt what their contribution means towards your mission. Lastly, don't forget to solicit feedback and review results when it comes to impact, as well as other volunteer engagement avenues. We want to be sure to celebrate wins and make any needed changes in order to always improve the program and overall the organization. Thank you for watching this presentation on volunteer impact, for all you do to help your community and to save more lives. Feel free to email me with questions or for any additional resources. And don't forget to check out all of our Best Friends volunteer engagement training videos.